Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Gassy Jack Gear Reviews. We have another watch review coming at you today. You would have already known, you probably searched this out, so you know what watch it is. It's the Seiko, let me turn this around for you. It's the Seiko SKA371. This is the P1 version, which is the Japanese domestic version, the P1 there. You can see that there. Caveat coming out here, I am actually about to ship this watch out to its new owner, and I'll get into why I'm actually letting this leave the stable, because it is an awesome watch, and I'll be the first to tell you that. But before we do anything, I'm just going to drop the watch there and give you a quick wristwatch check. And that is the Seiko Turtle. That is the SRP775. You might say, wow, that's got a weird dome on that, a weird crystal on that. It is kind of weird. It's a double domed, quite a raised dome. I really like it. And it's yellow tint. I got it with the yellow tint because it's you got the sorry about that. You got the yellow bezel, but it's almost like yellow smoked, and it dims it down a bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reorder, and I'm going to get the same one except just clear. Because the yellow is a bit much. Sorry about that camera moving there. I hit that there. Before we get at this watch review, I do want to go over some points here. I want to keep these reviews consistent so that these viewers know kind of what they're getting. So I want you to chime in. If there's anything here that you don't see here that you'd like to see on a standard watch review that we do, then I'd like you to chime in and let me know, because I'll start adding these things. This is a work in progress, so I always want to improve the videos. Let me know if there's anything here that you're not seeing that you would like to see here. So we're going to go over the company name, the watch name, everything like that, the part number. Dates manufactured if we have them available, the sizes and dimensions, some of the history. Talk about the movement and the functions and features of that movement, the accuracy, the dial color and the style, some of the we'll go over the bezel color, materials, stuff like that. The strap or bracelet and the options out there. Its ideal use that I believe that it would be good for. Its MSRP, as well as the common price that you can find online. And some of the competition and comparisons out there as far as watches or companies go. And then I'll give you my overall impression of the value of this watch. So I'm going to get that out of there right now. Like I said, this is the Seiko SKA371 P1. It is a kinetic movement, and I'm going to get into that. You probably already know that. It's 42 millimeters from side to side, not including the crown here. The lug width is actually 20 millimeters, although it looks a lot thicker when you look at this band and compare it to other watches. It looks much thicker, and I'll get to the reasons why later. It's 47 millimeters from lug to lug. It does have a screw down case back, which obviously you would expect in a diving watch. And it has that really nice, see if I can get that in here. The lighting right. It's like a wave, the Seiko tsunami wave, I think people call it. Really nice touch though. This watch is almost all brushed, except for the chamfered edges. So you can see those edges there. Those are polished. Okay, but everything else is brushed. And I really like that, because in a dive watch, it should be able to take a beating without looking all beaten up all the time, or, when it's brand new, at least. And that will, the polish, sorry, the brushed edges will actually wear much better than a polished edge. I never like when I see a working, a tool watch with a lot of polished faces. The edges are fine. Faces of things, no, not so good. Because one, they just draw so many fingerprints to it, but two, they get scratched. They look like they get scratched up a lot more than brushed edges. So I prefer that. This case and the whole watch is actually made from 316L stainless steel, which you would expect that. Most watches out there today are made with that, except for, well, I shouldn't say except for. I know that Rolex is made with 904L, which is much more expensive, much harder, and it looks better. It really does look better. You can notice if you have a watch side by side with 904 and 316, you definitely know where you paid the extra money. The crown here is unsigned. See that? Unsigned crown. It does have a really cool black ring around that. Breaks it up. I really like that. It's a screw down crown, of course, and it is hackable. So I'll show you here just quickly. If I pull that all out there, I just stopped it. So you can set this to very accurate time. It also has a power reserve button here, and I'll show you that. I'm going to hit that when it gets to the 12 o'clock, and I'm going to hold it down for a couple seconds. You're going to see that go to the 20 mark. That means that it has around a month or so worth of power reserve. And we might as well get into that. I did say that this was a kinetic watch. The movement is called the 5M62 kinetic movement. And that actually came out in 1986 at Baselworld. Seiko invented this kinetic energy watch. They used to call it, what do they used to call it? The automatic generating system. The AGS was the first watch that came out. So in 1986, they brought this out at Baselworld, but they didn't have a watch to actually release to the public. That wasn't until 1988, they brought the watch out to the public. In 1986, 2 years earlier, they released the prototype just to show it off at Baselworld. And that watch was actually called the AGS, the Automatic Generating System. Of course, that name later got changed to Kinetic Energy or Kinetic Drive. But at that point, they'd called it the Automatic Generating System. So, the dial of this watch, don't mind me as I kind of just off camera. I'm going to take this one glove off because I have my computer, my right up off camera here. What am I supposed to be doing next? The accuracy. Okay, so the accuracy is like any other quartz watch, because after all, this is a quartz watch with a kinetic drive. So its accuracy is about 15 seconds per month. And those are numbers that they're going to say in optimum temperatures, because not just kinetics, but all quartzes, they're affected by temperature. So for this watch to be running at 15 seconds per month, it should be in 5 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is 41 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit for anyone. And it will actually continue running at -10 to +60 Celsius, or 14 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. It will continue running at those temperatures. I have one glove off here, so don't mind I had to fiddle around with the computer there, so it looks a little odd, but I do want to just take this bracelet, or the clasp. It does have Seiko's standard deployment clasp, okay, and it doesn't have a milled out. It's a stamp bracelet there. Clasp, I should say, is stamped. It's not milled out like in some of their higher end watches and some higher end watches, period. And you can see it has 4 adjustments there, and it does also have a diver's extension. I'm not going to break my nail trying to get that out, but it has a diver's extension there, like a lot of the Seiko divers. The dial, let's take a look at that, and I'll get my ugly fingers out of there. Keep it a nice white glove. The dial is matte black, and it's stepped. What I mean by that, I'm going to show you there. You can see that inner portion is one layer, and then where the markers are, it's another layer, and then goes up to the chapter ring, which makes for a very deep look. It's very cool. I like it a lot. Lumer bright, filled, and you can see all those dots, and then you have those inverse triangles at the 12 o'clock, the 6 o'clock, and the 9 o'clock. And my ugly finger, this is going to be my ugly pointer finger, okay, which distinguishes it from the other ones. So when I point, I'm going to point with this thing here. So anyway, right to the right of the date there, you can see that little line. That's actually a little bit of loom there, which is nice, because at night you can make it out, and you know that 3 o'clock, that little one over there. It has a date complication at 3 o'clock, as you can see. It's not that big. It could be a little bigger, that date complication. And it is non-outline. It does not have an outline around it at all. Some people might like that. Some people don't. I really don't care. It has loom on those hands as well. So you can see that one arrow hand on the minutes. It has a loom on the arrow, and then you can't really see it. I'm going to come out with my ugly hand again and change the time so you can see it. Okay, you can see that. I don't know what you would call that. Looks like a pointy boob, if you will, for that hour hand. And it's got some loom there as well. But my complaint with this watch is that it doesn't have the loom throughout the hands. And if you ask me, it really should. Because at night, that's my gripe with this watch. At night, you can't see quickly the time because it's really hard if you're groggy at night and you just wake up and you look at your watch. The loom's great. Don't get me wrong. It's second to none. Maybe only to Rolex, and I don't even think it's second to Rolex. I think it's really. Do you like green with a loom on the Seiko or blue with the loom on the Rolex? I think they're equally good, and you guys can argue all day with me about that if you like. The crystal here, it's Seiko's proprietary Hardlex crystal, and it doesn't have any AR coating on this. Now, for those of you who want to know what Hardlex crystal is, it's like I said, it's Seiko's proprietary formula crystal, and it's harder and more scratch resistant than mineral glass, and I would say by far. It's not as scratch resistant as sapphire, but it's way more shatterproof than sapphire. So you would have to ask yourself, why would Seiko do this? Well, think about this. It's a dive watch, and dive watches are going to get banged around if you're using them for diving. They're going to get banged around on rocks, everything like that. Now ask yourself, would you rather have something that's more susceptible to shattering but not as susceptible to scratching as sapphire is, or would you rather have something that's less susceptible to shattering but more susceptible to scratching? Me, if I was a diver, and I'm a desk diver, I'm not an actual diver, then I would say I'd probably go for Hardlex because it's less shatter, or it's more shatter resistant, I should say. It's more shatterproof. And that's the important thing when you're using a tool like this underwater. You know what? What do you guys think? What's more important? What's better for a diver's watch? Hardlex or sapphire? And you will see on my wrist right now, wristwatch check, that's a Seiko Turtle. That is the SRP 775. And it's got a different crystal on that. That's a crystal by Crystal Times, and it's a double domed, it's quite high, and it's actually yellow tinted. I might change it out. I got it yellow tinted because of the yellow bezel there, but I might get it actually changed out for the same height, or like that, but no AR coating, any color anyway, because it does darken it, and it's kind of cool because it's kind of like a little different. It's smoked out, but it's not very clear, particularly the date. And to be honest, this has AR coating, anti-reflective coating, and this thing reflects like no one's business. So I don't think they're doing a good job with their AR coating. So I think I'm just going to stick to no color, no AR coating, same nice domed bezel. I love that thing. Look at that. That's nice. Like that. I'm going to do a review on that. If it's not already uploaded, it will be sometime. I'll do reviews on all of my watches, and as I continue to buy watches and sell watches, you'll see them all. So like I said, the hands are my biggest gripe with this watch. Just moving down here on some other points. The bracelet, getting back to this bracelet, you can see there the lug to lug is 20, but look how far that second link sticks out. It's got to be 24. It has to be. I don't have a measuring thing here, but you know what? Trust me on this. It's got to be 24. And my ugly pointer finger is going to come back in here and show you right here. You got to take a look at this end link. I've really never seen anything like it. It's this rotating end link. It's very toolish, if that's a word. I really dig that. And this watch, I'll tell you, this watch is a beast. I'm not getting rid of this watch because I don't like it. I really do. I'm not getting rid of it because it's not a good watch. It is, and it's a beast. It's a beast. I'm getting rid of it because I have watches that I rotate and I don't have enough time to feed this. And do you know what I mean by feeding this? I mean, you have to charge a Kinetic watch. And like I said, it has a month reserve on this thing right now. And that's fine. But I might not get to this watch for close to a month. And I don't like running it down. So what I'll do is I'll take it out jogging, then I'll wash it off. I'm meticulous with my watches. I every time I take them off and I put them away, I don't care if it's been a day, I wash them with soap and water and an old toothbrush. And keep them nice and purdy. And I put it away. So every time I go, not every time I go jogging, but once a week I'll put this on just when I'm jogging, just to give it a full charge again. It hasn't been on my wrist for a little while, so it needs to go jogging again. But it has to go to the new customer either tonight or tomorrow afternoon. So it's probably not going to get charged until the gentleman gets it in a couple of days. So there's not a lot of bracelet options because of that kind of unique end link and where it's positioned. You can see there's not a ton of room to get another bracelet in there. Maybe you can get a flat one in. NATO's would work. NATO's would work. And NATO's are always a nice option for diver's watch, as opposed to like a leather, stuff like that. Like just a regular NATO strap would work pretty nice on this. But as far as aftermarkets, from Strapcoat or something like that, there's nothing. The bezel is, and I'm going to come back in here, the bezel is 120 clicks. You can listen. It's a bit on the squishy side, but like I said, and a bit of play. So it's there, you can see from there to there. Before it gets to the next one, it really doesn't have that much play back. It just has play like going forward, and you can kind of bring it back. You didn't get to there's the next click. So you can see there's not a lot of room backwards, but it's just play, a little bit of play forward, and it's squishy. It's not like it's loose. It's not. It's just not crisp is all. And some people really prefer that, so who am I to argue about that? The clasp here, like I said, that has the standard Seiko deployment clasp. Okay, it's stamped. It's not machined, but it does the job. I mean, you look at Rolexes, even from, I guess, the 90s, they were like this. They didn't start milling until later on. I mean, it's not going to break, okay? It's going to do the exact same job as a milled one would. It just doesn't look as nice. And you're not going to get a milled one at this price range anyway. And it does have a diver's extension. I'm not going to take that out right now. You guys know how that works. Again, the back, that tsunami screw down back and thick bracelet on this thing. Like I said, if you're looking for a beast of a watch, I really wouldn't hesitate. The MSRP on this thing is $550 US, but you can get it for much cheaper. I've seen it for around $210 US online. I haven't seen it on eBay, but I've seen it other sites online for about $210 or so. And so what would be the ideal use for this watch? You know what? Diving, obviously, on a budget. Because it is not an expensive watch. General outdoor use, whether it be hiking, swimming, etc., that'd be good for that as well. It's a super tough watch, which is why I originally bought it. Like I said, search online and you will find some crazy tests that people have done with this watch, and they were unable to kill this thing. I mean, one guy boiled it. He did everything with it, and he just could not make it stop working. It's too thick to be, a dress watch. Just too bulky. You're not going to be wearing this as a dress watch. That's for sure. I'm gonna set it down there. I'm gonna take this one off. Not sure if I'm keeping this or not. I'll be honest. I've got too many watches. And I'll put this on just to show you. Maybe a little comparison here. Right. It's a good looking watch, there's no doubt about that. That bezel is analyzed aluminum. And it does have the pip there. Beautiful watch. Great value, I would say. Like I said, you do have to feed Kinetic watches. So if you don't have the time to wear it, it's not the watch for you. But if you don't have a lot of watches in the rotation and you're willing to rotate it, give this a look. It's a great watch. I would say good value, hard luxe crystal. Like I said, don't like the hands, but some people love the hands. So that is personal preference. So this has been another Gassy Jack gear review. Like I said, please subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the feeds on any more watch reviews or any gadget reviews.